Hi, welcome to the quiz. You can answer along on quizalto.com, all for free. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. What is an advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager for managing security across multiple accounts? Higher storage costs for sensitive data. Less frequent backup of security configurations. Reduced network bandwidth for inter-account communication. Centralized visibility and control over security policies. An advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager for managing security across multiple accounts is the centralized visibility and control over security policies, ensuring consistent application of security measures. What is the benefit of using AWS Firewall Manager to manage security policies for EC2 instances? Ensures consistent enforcement of security rules. Provides real-time monitoring of CPU usage. Enables automatic load balancing of traffic. Automatically increases instance capacity. AWS Firewall Manager ensures consistent enforcement of security rules for EC2 instances, helping to maintain a secure environment. What is the benefit of using AWS Firewall Manager with AWS WAF? Manages user authentication for web applications. Automatically provisions EC2 instances. Enables protection against web application attacks. Optimizes database performance. AWS Firewall Manager, when used with AWS WAF, provides protection against web application attacks by allowing the creation and management of web access control lists. What does AWS Firewall Manager enable organizations to achieve in terms of security policy enforcement? Automated and consistent enforcement of security policies. Manual configuration of security rules. Public exposure of security configurations. Delayed response to security incidents. AWS Firewall Manager enables organizations to achieve automated and consistent enforcement of security policies, ensuring that security measures are applied uniformly across all accounts and resources. What is the advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager to manage security policies for web application firewalls? Centralized management of web access control lists. Real-time monitoring of EFS file systems. Automated scaling of DynamoDB resources. Enhanced encryption for RDS databases. An advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager for web application firewalls is the centralized management of web access control lists, ensuring consistent protection against web exploits. What is a feature of AWS Firewall Manager that enhances security for web applications? Integration with Amazon S3 for data storage. Integration with AWS WAF for web traffic filtering. Multi-factor authentication for application users. Automated resource scaling based on traffic. AWS Firewall Manager integrates with AWS Web Application Firewall to enhance security for web applications by filtering incoming web traffic and protecting against common web threats. What is the primary advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager to manage security policies for multiple AWS accounts? Automated deployment of ECS clusters. Uniform enforcement of security rules across all accounts. Enhanced machine learning capabilities. Real-time monitoring of CloudWatch metrics. The primary advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager for multiple AWS accounts is the uniform enforcement of security rules across all accounts for consistent security. What is the advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager for auditing purposes? Enforcement of security policies for audit trails. Improved CPU performance for audit logging. Simultaneous auditing of multiple accounts. Reduced network bandwidth for audit events. AWS Firewall Manager enforces security policies to ensure audit trails are accurately maintained, assisting with compliance requirements and monitoring security events. How does AWS Firewall Manager help customers protect their AWS resources from unauthorized access? By centrally managing and enforcing security group rules. By offering automated DNS management. By automatically scaling EC2 instances. By providing real-time database encryption. AWS Firewall Manager helps protect AWS resources from unauthorized access by centrally managing and enforcing security group rules across accounts. What does AWS Firewall Manager help organizations achieve in terms of security governance? Increased data exposure. Manual review of data encryption techniques. Less scrutiny on security events. Centralized management and governance of security policies. AWS Firewall Manager helps organizations achieve centralized management and governance of security policies, ensuring that security measures are effectively enforced and monitored. What feature of AWS Firewall Manager allows for the management of security policies across multiple accounts? Integration with AWS organizations. Built-in antivirus protection. Real-time monitoring of DNS queries. Cross-region replication for RDS instances. AWS Firewall Manager integrates with AWS organizations to enable the management of security policies across multiple accounts for consistent enforcement. What is a key benefit of using AWS Firewall Manager for managing security groups? Increased complexity in rule configuration. Delayed response to policy violations. Public exposure of security configurations. Consistent application of rules across resources. A key benefit of using AWS Firewall Manager for managing security groups is the consistent application of rules across multiple resources, ensuring that security policies are uniformly enforced. What feature of AWS Firewall Manager helps organizations ensure compliance with security standards? Manual review of security settings. Automated enforcement of security policies. Free data storage for compliance documents. Delayed response to audit findings. AWS Firewall Manager provides automated enforcement of security policies to help organizations comply with security standards and regulations, reducing the risk of non-compliance. What role does AWS Firewall Manager play in securing AWS resources from external threats? Providing centralized management of security policies. Increasing public exposure of resources. Encrypting all data at rest. Optimizing S3 bucket storage costs. AWS Firewall Manager plays a role in securing AWS resources from external threats by providing centralized management of security policies to prevent unauthorized access and protect against cyber threats. What role does AWS Firewall Manager play in security management for AWS resources? Public exposure of security configurations. Delayed response to security incidents. Increased visibility into security events. Centralized enforcement of security policies. AWS Firewall Manager plays a role in security management for AWS resources by providing centralized enforcement of security policies to ensure consistent security measures are applied. What is an advantage of using AWS Firewall Manager? Increased network bandwidth. Automated policy enforcement across accounts and resources. Improved CPU performance. Reduced cost of data storage. AWS Firewall Manager offers automated policy enforcement across AWS accounts and resources, ensuring consistent security policies. In what way does AWS Firewall Manager simplify the administration of security policies for customers with multiple AWS accounts? By providing detailed CPU usage reports. By requiring manual approval for each policy change. By automatically granting administrator access to all users. By offering a centralized solution for creating and applying policies. AWS Firewall Manager simplifies the administration of security policies by providing a centralized solution for creating and applying policies across multiple accounts. How does AWS Firewall Manager help customers maintain security posture across multiple AWS accounts? By automating web application development. By enabling direct access to database instances. By providing real-time provisioning of instances. By centrally managing firewall rules. AWS Firewall Manager helps customers maintain security posture by centrally managing firewall rules, ensuring consistent enforcement of security policies across multiple accounts. What does AWS Firewall Manager centralize the management of? Network latency for application traffic. Security groups and rules for AWS resources. IAM permissions for users. Backup and recovery processes for databases. AWS Firewall Manager centralizes the management of security groups and rules for AWS resources, ensuring that security policies are consistent and up-to-date. What is a primary benefit of using AWS Firewall Manager for improving security posture? Delayed response to security incidents. Increased cost of data storage. Public exposure of sensitive data. Centralized management of security policies. A primary benefit of using AWS Firewall Manager for improving security posture is the centralized management of security policies, allowing for consistent enforcement and proactive security measures. How does AWS Firewall Manager centralize the management of security policies for users? By automatically generating policies based on user activity. By providing a single console for creating and applying policies. By distributing policy enforcement to each EC2 instance. By restricting access to policies based on region. AWS Firewall Manager centralizes the management of security policies by providing a single console for creating and applying these policies across multiple accounts. What feature of AWS Firewall Manager helps organizations ensure compliance with industry regulations? Increased exposure of sensitive data. Optimized network latency for compliance audits. Manual review of all security settings. Automated enforcement of security policies. AWS Firewall Manager provides automated enforcement of security policies to help organizations ensure compliance with industry regulations and standards, reducing the risk of non-compliance. What benefit does AWS Firewall Manager provide for organizations with multiple AWS accounts? Less flexible firewall configurations. Centralized management of security policies. Lower network bandwidth for inter-account traffic. Increased manual review of logs. AWS Firewall Manager provides centralized management of security policies for organizations with multiple AWS accounts, ensuring that security measures are consistent and effectively enforced. What benefit does AWS Firewall Manager provide for organizations with multiple AWS accounts? Less flexible firewall configurations. Centralized management of security policies. Increased manual review of logs. Lower network bandwidth for inter-account communication. AWS Firewall Manager provides centralized management of security policies for organizations with multiple AWS accounts, ensuring that security measures are consistent and effectively enforced. What is a primary role of AWS Firewall Manager in managing security policies? Reduced visibility into security configurations. Manual monitoring of security events. Increased network latency for application traffic. Centralized deployment and enforcement of policies. A primary role of AWS Firewall Manager is the centralized deployment and enforcement of security policies, ensuring that security measures are consistently applied and maintained. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.